Hey onesies, Josh Williams here, and thanks for checking out this week's episode of the One Man Podcast. It's always free and available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and many more, as well as on the web at onemanpodcast.com. So please, whatever platform you're listening on, like and subscribe. While you're at it, give it a rating, leave a review. Why? Because it helps the podcast, and I'd really appreciate it. How about that? What about social media? Search One Man Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to keep up with what's going on there. Get a little extra content for yourself. And finally, to get in touch, please send your emails to contact@onemanpodcast.com. You send it, I read it on the podcast. That's the deal. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Demers.
I'm K. Trevor Wilson.
Hey, it's Krista Allen.
Hi, this is Rick Mercier.
What's up, guys? This is Paul Verzi, and you are listening to the One Man Podcast. Yeah!
My name is Josh Williams, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 162 for Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. Welcome back, onesies. Oh boy, do I have an episode for you guys. Do I? Is it really that big? Who knows? I guess we'll find out as we get talking, because I make notes and I think, I got all these things to say. Do you guys have any idea how often I'm sitting doing the editing of the podcast afterwards and go, shit, I forgot to talk about that. Or, oh shit, I meant to say that in the subject. Oh shit, did I start that story and never, branch off and never go back to the, those points? Happens all the time. Small example. I think when I was at my friend Mark's place recently in the last month or so, I totally forgot to say, despite the fact that I was making fun of the salty potatoes, I just meant to say, hey, thanks again for having me. Thanks for going through all the trouble and effort of doing that. I really appreciate that. I think in the last episode, there was something I wanted to talk about, or something I was talking about, and I wanted to kind of go into it more. I think, I do want to just, while I'm thinking of it, I was shitting on Big Bang Theory. It's not just that some hot chick likes nerds. It was every kind of they tried to do the same format as That 70s Show, where they've got the foreign exchange student character, and he also can't talk to girls, and this, that whole, he can't speak to a woman. That was, ugh. Anyways, sometimes I just forget to add little things like that. I wanted to shit on all sorts of different problems that stupid show had, but wasn't able to do it, or I just forget. So anyways, yeah. So this week, I'm going to forget to talk about, no, I'm just kidding. I'm finishing the Final Fantasy VII Remake, again, in anticipation of The Last of Us Part 2 that comes out in a couple of days. Trying to mop up a few ones that I've got started and haven't finished, right? Big, important stuff. Have I finished my taxes? No, I have not. I have not finished my taxes, but I'm still kind of plugging away at them barely. I have a friend who started a brand new, disgusting photo thing, and I will tell you guys, about that briefly. What else? I watched almost the entire season of season 4 of F is for Family, and I'll give you my little thoughts on that. I started talking to some friends about survival horror games again, and just thinking back to some of the great ones that we had, and maybe something I want to pick up. I'll tell you about that. What else? I went a trip to Montreal. I drove all the way to Montreal to pick up some scotch. Hey. And I'll tell you guys a story about that one with my buddy Aaron. My mom's dog Gracie got spayed, and I've been helping out with that a little bit. I've still been going for walks with Simon. Absolute Comedy's patio opened, and my new gaming chair arrived. So, all that to talk about in this episode. I will get right to it. So, I waited quite a long time for my new gaming chair. I guess that's just the style of it, but it is a game chair. I was waiting for it to arrive, and I was checking I think I ordered it midway through May, and just been waiting. And so I went on to track where the fuck it was. Because I remember on what was it? Shit, have I had this thing? I got it during this podcast's run. I was going to say, did I get it during the last podcast run? I did not. I was supposed to get it on June 8th. Last episode was June 10th. And I remember on the 8th, Simon and I were going to go for a walk, and I was like, hey buddy, I'm sorry, I got a package coming today. And as soon as the package comes, we can go for a walk. So I remember just trying to get an idea to see, how sometimes you can go on your track your packages and it'll tell you if it's actually out for delivery. So I figured, maybe what I can do is I'll jump online, I'll take a look and see if it's out for delivery. And if it is, then I'll stay home. And if it's not, if it's still in transit, maybe coming from another city, then I know I'm safe to at least go and have my walk. So I jumped online, I took a look, and it said that it was in Canada, which is like a kind of a suburb of Ottawa. It's still the city. It's just, different section. And it said it had been there since the 4th. This is on the 8th that I was checking. So I'm like, well, what the fuck? It's been in the city for 4 days. Just fucking deliver it. So I called up the company and was like, hey, you can't get a hold of anybody. They gave me some sort of reference number and they're like, someone will call you by end of day. Well, that didn't happen. So nobody called me that day. Nothing happened. I didn't get any information from the UPS people, and I'll definitely put them on blast because UPS is fucking shit. So UPS did not call me back that day. I spoke to someone there. They said they would call me back. They gave me a reference number, all this bullshit. I got a call the next day. So that would be Tuesday the 9th. And the woman on the phone says, we're 10 days behind right now. So she's like, so I'm hoping that it'll be to you by the end of the week. And I was like, hoping? I'm like, what day do I even stay home for? And she's like, oh, well, we'll tell you, we'll let you know like when it's coming or whatever. It's like, all right, well, that sounds fun. She's like, oh, that's what she said. She said, we're hoping we'll get it to you by the end of the week. Not like it'll come to you on Friday. We're hoping to see it at the end of the week. So anyways, I remember Jay came home, Wednesday, like middle of the day Wednesday. He's like, your chair's out front. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, your giant chair. So he brought it in. So get this. I've been home. I was home all day Wednesday. And they just fucking dropped it off in the front. Big $300 chair in a very obvious box. It wasn't like in a big Amazon box or anything like that. It was in a very obvious like computer, gaming chair box, and just left it on the front porch. Didn't ring the doorbell, didn't knock, just left it there. Fucking people. So whatever, it would have been nice for a knock at the door, or whatever, but you guys get that shit. Anyways, all that's to say, I spent I spent about an hour building it, and for a $300 chair, it feels kind of cheap. I noticed on Amazon, if you go on Amazon, there's a lot of different companies trying to like match each other's logos. So it looks like there's like a lot of knockoff shit, but I mean, it's being sold on Amazon through companies with like a lot of 5-star reviews or whatever. Anyways, I was chatting with my friend Red, and Red recently bought a new gaming chair, but she bought one from Secret Labs, which is like the name in chairs. Only it's expensive. The gaming chairs from Secret Labs are like $500, but part of me is like, well, I spent $300 on something I'm not super happy with. I think the thing I'm the most unhappy with for the chair is, it came with I guess this recliner thing. It's like 2 poles that pull out from under the chair with a cushion on it. You flip up and you can put your feet on it. It doesn't go far enough. Like I wish my ankles were what were resting on it and not, like my mid calves. Cause then your legs kind of hanging over the edge and it's not as comfortable. Anyways, I was like, oh, that'll be nice. And it is kind of nice to be able to recline in my chair. I couldn't do that with the executive chair that I had before, but the arms on all the gaming chairs are like those little kind of like rubbery plastic black sort of short things that you see in like a lot of just plain old computer chairs and shitty cubicles. Right. My old chair had was big high leather back to it. And it had arms that went all the way to the front, all the way to the backrest. These gaps in the armrest, like the gaps between the armrests and the back, like I lean back in my chair. So it's kind of like, they also don't go as high as the other ones. Anyways, it's just not as comfortable. And I'm sitting in the chair. I'm sitting in it right now. Like I also keep in mind, this is the chair that I sit at for my computer work. I sit at it for my gaming. I sit at it for the podcast. Like, my other chair I was kind of happier with, and I did a lot of research. I couldn't find any more of those types of chairs available online at a decent price at what I paid. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer right now. This chair's, it's fine. Like it's a chair, it works, but, it's definitely not as comfortable as my last one. Last one had a bigger seat area too and stuff. So I don't know. This one makes more noise too, and it's supposed to have a higher weight rating than the other one. But it's got a little butt cushion that you can plug in. I was gonna plug it in right now because my back's bugging me a little bit. But I'm like, this is probably all we would hear in the podcast is from the thing buzzing. Those tend to be the noises that the microphone picks up on. So yeah, I mean it's not bad. I just for $300, my last chair cost me less, and I liked it way more. Just couldn't get another one. So. Yeah, not that this is anything really worth listening to, but again, right now with COVID, me spending hours a day in a chair, yeah, it's so funny. Like when the arms rests are down all the way, the only part of my arm that rests even on the things at all is like my wrists bend over the edge, but like none of the rest of my arm is touching. I raise them all the way up And yeah, I can rest my forearms on it, but if I lean back in the chair, it's my hands that are resting on the things, like my elbows aren't supported, whereas my other chair, I could even lean over to the side, on the armrest, because the armrest went the whole way. I can't do that with these guys. They almost like bend outwards and you slip right off of them. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So funny. The older you get, like I'm at a point in my life where, like, if I had room in my room, I would love to have a fucking lazy boy. You know what I mean? Just come in the end of the day, put your feet up, play your games, but can't use a lazy boy for my desk work. Don't work like that. So anyways, it's funny. I'm only 37, but you get older and you start to like want different things. We just, me and other parts of my life, we wanted different things. So, yeah, so that's the thing. That does taste watered down. Cool. So that's my chair. I'm whatever. I'm happy that it's not broken, but I like my other chair better. What else? I watched 90% of F. That's what I wrote. My note was watch 90% of F is for Family. I liked the first season of F is for Family, and I think I liked the second season. It's a show that's animated here in Ottawa. It's created by Bill Burr. Bill Burr is the main character. He's the writer on the show. Comic I like very much. Good sense of humor. I'm losing interest in that show. I watched most of season 4 and I just don't find that they're as funny and cool as I like. I mean, obviously if you watch the whole season, I'm like, yeah, but I put it on the background while I'm doing other things. And it's funny. A lot of if a show's good, I won't be doing what I'm doing because I'm so enthralled with the show that, I'm watching it and not doing what I'm doing. Well, the F is for Family. I'm able to just, put it on and it doesn't seem to take me from what I'm doing at all. It don't interest me that much, so I just gotta say, like, for shows that I've been watching, I think I said, like, this week, the predominant one has been F is for Family that I put on a couple other little things too. I'm starting to dick around with the Amazon Prime a little bit, and there's some new movies on there. I was going to try to watch Midsummer. I started watching it earlier today before the podcast, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get this reviewed too. But then my phone rang a few times and it was on the background while I was trying to talk with someone on the phone, and I didn't get what the fuck was going on. So it looks like it's one I'm gonna have to actually pay attention to, and I just didn't have time before the podcast. So, but it was kind of like this weird, freaky, like Swedish I don't know what the fuck the movie's about, but it's on what do you call it? Amazon Prime. Joker's on Amazon Prime as well as a few other ones. I think the new Rambo movie's there. Knives Out is on Amazon Prime. I watched Knives Out in the theater. I think it was probably the last movie I saw in the theater before this COVID thing hit hard. So, a good enough movie. It wasn't the like 99% Rotten Tomatoes movie I thought it was going to be, but it was good. So yeah. Let's go on here. I played some more Don't Starve Together with friends. I played with my dad once last week. I played with my friend Tina in Finland once. I played with my friend Red. Red bought a pony to eat. She was telling me that, she was in the market for a pony, and I thought she wanted to ride it or something. And then she was just telling me that she bought a pony because it's like the same cost for meat, as to ride it or whatever. Of course, Red, if I got any of that wrong, I don't know the pony. I don't know what the pony's name is. I think it's something stupid, something like, Arg, whatever. She posted online. Let me see here. I want to say congratulations on your pony, but I don't know what the fuck its name is. Come on, Red it, boo. Just in case you don't want a bunch of listeners. All right. I raise you. She calls it, I see your pandemic puppy. Oh yeah, Rufio. Amir Aldiayi, and then in brackets Rufio. So I think Rufio's his name. He's an Arabian cross 5-year-old gelding. So, I don't know what kind of wine you'll pair that pony meal with. But yeah, she's going to eat that pony. I guess, I don't know how long do you have to keep it? How big does it have to get before you eat it, Red? Of course, if any of this is incorrect, I would love you to correct me. Contact at onemanpodcast.com. Send me an email. Let me know what your real plans are for this pony if I've somehow got them wrong. But having said that, I want to Google what's the difference between ponies and horses. What's the difference between ponies and horses? Yeah. I clicked on the the correction. The main distinction between ponies and horses is height. A horse is usually considered to be an equine that's at least 14.2 hands, or about 4 feet 10 inches tall. There are horses less than 14.2 hands tall, and there are ponies that are taller than, so just a height thing. A pony's shorter. As I thought ponies were little dwarf things, but I guess I was wrong, because Red's got what looks like a horse and it's called a pony. So I'd be interested in knowing more of the differences, because the Google answer gave me was garbage. Differences between horses and ponies, the spruce pets. It's going to be one of those long ones written needlessly. Ponies and horses are more similar than they are different. The one thing that ponies are not, that many people are mistaken about, is that they are not baby horses. Are they colts? A colt is a baby horse. Both horses and ponies are the same species, Equus caballus, and come from the exact same family tree. However, ponies stay small their whole life, maturing more quickly than horses. Pony foals or foals are tiny and will rapidly mature to the approximate size of their parents. Horses are slowly growing, some not attaining full mature size until they are 6 or 7 years age. So the ponies grow faster. Is that what they said? Ponies stay small their whole life, maturing more quickly. So did you buy the pony because it's going to mature into eating meat faster than a horse would? Like a horse, technically, has to lose a race before they're allowed to turn it into glue, right? Anyways, Red, congratulations on your Rufio. I'm sure it'll be delicious. You can have some Rufino Pinot Grigio with them when you eat them. Or you can tell me what you can send an email and let us know what you bought them for. Where the fuck you get off buying a horse to eat? Were they going to feed him to the wolves? My mom got her dog Gracie spayed, little hunt terrier. What's a hunt terrier? Well, it's a kind of like Jack Russell, basically, only Jack Russells are typically white and brown, and hunt terriers are black and brown. So they look like little Dobermans, the color of Dobermans, Rottweilers, that kind of things, but except in a Jack Russell shape. So, cute dogs. Anyways, my mom got a hunt terrier last year, and, Gracie, she wanted a name that rhymed with my dog Chase. So Grace and Chase. And also because she bought her when her other dog Bella passed away. So it was kind of like, Grace, the grace of Bella, and of course Grace matches Chase. I'll be honest, I'm the one who gave her the name. She's like, I want something that kind of goes with Chase and also represents Bella. And I was like, well, what about Grace? And there we go. We got Gracie. Gracie the dog. So anyways, Gracie got spayed, and she's a Jack Russell. She's a little firecracker, and she's all energy. So my mom's needed to spend a lot of time. Now my mom's working from home anyways, but my mom needs to spend a lot of time trying to keep her calm, because she jumps up and down off the furniture and she runs out in the backyard and all these different things. So my mom's like, I got to keep her calm and low energy while her stitches are healing. So, and my mom's like, I can't even go into another room before she's jumping up onto the couch or, trying to run around or go up the stairs or whatever. So my mom's got like everything blocked off in her house. So I've been helping her out by, and also Chase can't get out for walks and stuff because Gracie's got to keep her energy low. So Gracie can't go for a walk, and my mom can't leave her home alone while she takes Chase. So I've been going over to take Chase for walks and to, even just to watch Gracie so my mom can jump in the shower or whatever. Just little things like that. That's part of what I've been doing. I've been going for walks with Simon. As usual. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last episode. I definitely didn't mention it in the last episode, but I went for a walk with Simon. We went down to the bottom of our street. And there was like this little taco place, little outside taco shack. And we're like, oh, let's try this out. They got $7 tacos. Maybe they're good like the El Camino ones. Maybe they're a little more authentic. Oh my God. I haven't had such a small portion of food or more pathetic in my life. $15 for 2 tacos. And, I don't know if you've ever seen, I got 2 fish tacos. I don't know if you've ever seen a fish stick. But a fish stick would have been considered a chicken breast next to the size of the little, breaded fish things that they stuck in these. It's just pathetically small, pathetic amounts of money. So, anyways, I meant to shit on that place. I'm not going to say them by name. I don't remember the name anyways, but I wouldn't if I did. I remember thinking I can never, it was dead when we got there. I'm like, yeah, no shit. but it was bad. It was way overpriced, Like Taco Bell's little $1.29 tacos have more in them than these $7 fish tacos had in them. Absolutely pathetic. I was like, yeah, that was garbage. In fact, when we walked home, I had to stop at the Sherwood Deli and get a sandwich there because like after 2 of these tacos, it was like nothing in your system. But yeah, so I've still been going for walks with Simon, and we've gone down into different directions, different neighborhoods, things like that. It's just nice to have some time out, just walking in the exercise. Simon's actually gone for a few days now. He's going to be going to do some housework or something with somebody. He was just mentioning to me before I recorded the podcast that he's going to be sleeping in a tent on someone's lawn for 3 days while he works for them. I'm like, okay. And not for COVID reasons. I thought like, oh, for like COVID. And they're like, no, they just don't have any room in their house. I'm like, okay. Like they don't have a couch that you can crash on. You're going to go sleep. It's also going to be boring at night. Like you're going to stop working at 5 p.m. Maybe you'll eat together. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm going to go sit in the tent for 7 hours until I fall asleep uncomfortably and wake up sore and expect to do physical labor tomorrow. Anywho, jeez Louise. Absolute Comedy has opened its patio. So, Friday and Saturday, Jason decided to open his patio. Friday, a bunch of staff and comics came out to support. I did not go. All I know is just Jason was in the house talking about it and all the things we're going to do. So they had one kitchen staff, one server, and then Jason was there kind of like as a greeter, what have you. Simon went. Bunch of other people went. Well, a bunch. There was like 10 people. So I asked them the next day, right, Saturday morning. I'm like, so how did it go last night? And it turned out the only people that showed up on Friday were staff and comics. So basically familiar faces, right? Like no actual business. And then Saturday they said they probably had about 4 or 6 people throughout the entire course of the evening, 4 or 6 people who weren't staff, but they had more staff show up. So it's an opportunity for, I guess, Jason to make a little bit of revenue for them to open the doors and just, make some money back. But it's not a ton, but hey, it's the start, right? Like bars and stuff are allowed to start opening. I believe that the Premier of Ontario said that, a couple days ago or Friday or whatever is like, you can now officially hug your friends and family members again. But I don't think it was like touch anybody that you want, but I think it was like, we're in a position now where you can hug your mom, you can hug your family members, but I've got so many people around here. Like again, Jason, one of the nights last week, there was like, I walked downstairs to get some water or whatever before bed, and there was 4 people standing in the kitchen. Our kitchen is a hallway, as I've mentioned before. It's narrower than a hallway. So the hallway is like 3 feet across. This thing's like, 2 feet in between the counters, and everyone's just standing in the kitchen. They went golfing that day, and then they're all just standing there. It's like, okay. So, again, we're not really social distancing, especially not in this household. No one ever gave a fuck. But, yeah, so I mean, it's not over, and I'm still trying not to take risks with family members and stuff like that until, but apparently now you can just go and get a test, at least in Ottawa is my understanding, that you can just go and get a test to see if you have COVID. So, yeah, and it was funny too. Yeah, well, actually, I won't say that. It's not my business to say. Just to piss off. If I know you personally ask me, hey, what was that thing you were going to say? And I'll tell you, somebody who wasn't careful through the entire pandemic, at all, has decided today that they're going to get tested because they want to go see their parents out of town and they don't want to get their parents sick. Same person who was seeing someone who lives here, no problem. Happy to do whatever because they might have something, no problem potentially giving something and sending it back this way. Always argued that everything that they did was so, I'm getting into it. I'm not going to name names, but the person who was like, oh, well, there's nothing and everything's so safe where I am. It's like, great, then go see your parents. Well, no. You were so perfect. Nothing. There was no risk, whatever. So why are you taking the risk when it's your parents? You didn't give a fuck if it was other people. I haven't bitched about the COVID selfishness for a long time, but it's incredibly selfish. That's somebody who didn't care about some people. And then but my people, well, yeah. So there's a merited fuck you towards that person. You're selfish. I'll never bring it up to your face, but I'm throwing it out to the universe. A little bit of a fuck you on that one. But yeah, cause I was just saying when I found out yesterday, I was like, oh no, you don't need to do that. Just you were safe. Remember, just go. So anywho, that was a bit of anger, but, hey, that's what it was. What else? Anything else I got to talk about? Headphone jack on my controller broke. Just plugged my headphones in so I can play my online games and yell at the internet. And then I was just listening with the headphones. There was nothing there. I think I was on the phone with somebody. They were working before the phone call. And then at the end of the phone call, I was like, hey, why can't I hear the game or anyone talking? And, I put another set of headphones in, same thing. And then I turned on the other controller that I had and everything worked perfectly in the other controller. I'm like, fuck, the jack on these is broken. Went online, tried to find some controllers, sold out everywhere. The only ones they had were like these gaudy gold ones available at like a Best Buy, the same Best Buy that pissed me off. So I was like, you know what, fuck that. And then, Jesus Christ, 3 days later, completely resurrected. They're working fine again. And that. So now I've got like a wonky controller that at any point could be a fucking bitch. What else? What are we at? 24 minutes? Just trying to look and see what else here. I got a few different things we can talk about. I went on a trip to Montreal with my buddy. I'll tell you guys about that shortly. I will, let's say this here. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this stupid little story. So yesterday, I was sitting having breakfast, all right? And I get a text from one of my friends. I won't name him, although my friend does listen to the podcast. I would like to know if I'm allowed to ever name you. Like, I try never to name you specifically. There's a few people that I'm just like, when something happens with them, I try never to name them, just because I don't know if they're okay with it. Just like I've got some people who I name the first name, and every now and again I might drop their last name, and I'm like, I don't know if that's okay. Nobody's ever given me shit. In fact, the only person who's ever really given me shit for saying anything about them on the podcast was my ex. But the vast majority of you guys seem to be pretty cool. I try to keep it relatively anonymous. But anyways, this buddy of mine, good friend, love him to death. I'm eating my breakfast, and I just get a text message that says, I love, and then a piece of crap in the toilet shaped as a U. And I just sent them back the text, disgusting. Only because I was eating. And it's funny because I and then explained to him right away. It's funny because like I've had times where like I wanted to I like bothering people. I definitely like bothering people. You know, I'm a man. I enjoy that. It's one of the things guys like. We like bugging people. And I have thought of like, I've had times where I'm like, I took like a weird shit and snapped a picture of it to like send to somebody. But before I did, I was like, you know what? I like saying things that are gross. I like making, gross jokes or saying and doing weird, stupid things. It's almost like in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to say it. And if you stop and visualize it, that's on you. Cause you could do what I do. I don't stop and think about the weird things that I say sometimes. I'm just like, I say it and I was like, oh, and then there's even times where I'll laugh at myself. I was like, Jesus Christ, what did you just say? So I don't really stop and visualize. So I was like, to send a picture of crap. Like that's not joke. That's bothering. That's just gross. Like, it's like the same thing online, like that whole 2 girls, 1 cup thing. I never watched that video. I know what it's about, but I've never watched it. It's gross. It's fucking gross. And I like funny. I don't like gross. It's the same as like horror movies. I like scary. I don't like gory. You know what I mean? I don't need to see someone's guts getting ripped out of them to know that that's a terrible situation. I prefer the implied horror versus the the seeing it stuff. And so when it comes to like sending someone a picture of poop, I'd actually always opted out of it because I'm like, no, that's gross. So funny enough, I tell my friend who's very prim and proper for the most part, and I'm like, buddy, you just crossed a line that even I wouldn't cross. And then he's like, what are you talking about? You showed me a picture of your dick one time. And I was like, well, for starters, my dick is pretty. And it wasn't deliberate. I was actually just going through my messages and my pictures trying to find something else and found the one of, my cock, and I flashed that at him while he was driving. So I didn't even it's not like I let him stare at it. I didn't send him a copy. But at the same time, I don't know, shit's just gross. So I'm not saying I told him I didn't cross that line. He goes, your line is wavy as fuck. I disagree. Flashing someone a quick picture of a clean cock and a dirty turd in a toilet. Although I think the thing that bothered me the most of the time was the fact that I was eating. So I didn't mean to accidentally look at something gross while I was eating. So I think that's the only part that muddied it for me. Whereas normally I'd be like, gross. And then, yeah. So I don't know. And let's do a one-man podcast onesie poll. What do you guys think's gross? Grosser, dick pics or shit pics? Huh? What would you rather receive, a shit pic or a dick pic? And pulling a shitty dick out of an anus, does not count as a dick pic. That is a shit pic. That is a shit dick pic. This is where we've come. This is where we're at now with the podcast is, asking your opinions, shit pic or dick pic. Would you rather look at someone's fresh turd or a penis, any penis at all? Fuck, it's so weird. Animal penises, actually, no, if I say any penis, animal penises can look pretty weird sometimes. You know what I mean? And you can find, move on, Josh. So yeah, so I'm half busting my buddy's balls. So I had to go to the washroom not long afterwards, and I fired one back at him, and I'm not proud of myself. And we haven't spoken since. But, hey, you know, when in Rome, I guess, or fight fire with fire. Speaking of some other things, I'm going to move on to I'll move through the video games real quick, and then I'll tell you about my trip to Montreal. The belly of the beast, right? The most COVID infected city in Canada. So, I'm currently finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I spent a reasonable amount of the day yesterday playing it, doing great, popping trophies. I think I might be able to get it finished before The Last of Us comes out on Thursday at midnight. So that's it. I'm having fun with that. Again, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. That's it. That's all I'll talk about that. When I was going for a walk with Simon, I was telling him, because he was asking me about like what kind of games I liked growing up and stuff. There's a game that I want to pick up. It's actually on sale and sitting in my cart on the PlayStation store called The Man of Medan. It's made by, I guess, the developers who did a game called Until Dawn. And Until Dawn played like some of those other games that I mentioned. Okay. The quick time event one. So you're playing and you make a decision of what to say or what to do in the moment. And a lot of those games, you make a choice and, it makes very little difference to the way that the story plays out. In fact, some of the things in those quick time games, you make a quick time event where you're trying to, like, let's say, let's use the cross a river as an example. You're trying to cross a river, and if you fuck up, you fall in the water, and then it'll show a quick little cutscene of you dying, and then you just try again. So the whole idea is that even though you have to press buttons in a proper order to get to the other side, you're getting to the other side. Like you're either getting to the other side or you're trying again over and over and over again until you get to the other side. So really, the story doesn't really kind of choose your own adventure as much as they would claim, because it still pushes you in one direction, the story, and that's it. Well, this game Until Dawn was all like, if you're trying to cross the river and you fuck up, well, then you fall in the water and you run downstream, and then that's the course of the story for you. Whereas if you cross the river, something else happens. Like, and even though that game, Heavy Rain, I really didn't like, and it still kind of goes in a linear direction. There were so many different endings and so many different ways to do it. Like even that one had more branch offs, in terms of like what you did. Like you could get arrested and then that was it. You're just behind bars for the rest of the game and you never show up at the final showdown. Like even that had more of it meant more when you did something or failed at something. You could die. If you failed, you could die. And that was the game. So, this Man of Medan is the same one, and it's people trapped on a boat at sea. And same idea. So I still haven't played Until Dawn. I'm going to be playing that in the next month or so. And, I'm actually going to start, I'm going to find the games that are more cinematic. So rather than you guys like if you watch someone play Super Mario Brothers, it's kind of annoying, or maybe it's not, but I'm going to try to start having a night of the week where I actually stream the games that I'm playing. So if any of you are not video game people, but you're like, I'd still be interested in seeing what the story's all about or whatever, I'll try to post it on Facebook or Instagram that I'll be live streaming with the link and everything like that. And just hopefully that you guys are, able to log on, and maybe I'll see if I can make that boring and stupid too. Just kidding. But yeah, that's something I'd like to do, but I'm excited. It was a fun talk about survival horrors. I like horror movies and I like the survival horror games. Those are some of the ones that I've had the most fun playing. Resident Evil, for those of you who've seen the movies and things like that. Well, Resident Evil is a game that came out a long, long time ago on the original PlayStation. And I remember playing, Resident Evil 2 was the first one that I played. And those games were scary, not just because you've got zombies and kind of like, mutated zombie-like creatures coming at you. Those games were scary for the reason that, a couple things. So one of them, you had very limited resources. So that is, as you were playing the game, you would find like, you're walking along and you would find, when you find ammo, you'd find like 2 bullets. Do you know what I mean? You weren't finding like, okay, here's another 6, cartons of bullets or cases of bullets. Like this was like, oh, I found 2 bullets. And in the game, like, if you shoot just the right way, you can put a zombie down with 1 or 2 bullets. So sometimes when you fire 5 or 6 shots at a zombie, it's like, yeah, it's dead, but you're also in your head going, fuck, that's like 3 or 4 zombies now that I can't kill because I fucked up. So part of it's scary because like you're almost taking chances trying to get the zombie down with a knife or something to hang on to those bullets in case, you fight something that you don't want to get close range to. Cause there was some, every now and again you'd fight like a big boss or whatever. And, he'd have these big, a spike arm or something like that, something that he could impale you with. And you didn't want to get close to him. So you'd save your bullets for a fight like that. So that was one of the things that made the game so scary. Because if you're running around like Rambo and you have ammo galore, well, you're not even scared. It's a zombie lumbering towards you. They weren't like, 30 days later or 28 days later zombies where they're, the running type of zombies. These are zombies like they shamble. But, when it's shambling towards you and you have 3 bullets, 3 zombies, 3 bullets, you're like, fuck, I gotta hit them in the head. And that was the other part of the thing that made the game scary, is that you weren't playing it like a first person shooter where you could aim your gun right at their head, fire the shot, and boom, now I'm good. It had something that was called fixed camera angle. So imagine looking at a picture out of a photo book, right? And you're looking at a picture of a hallway. Well, that's what the background looks like. It was sort of 2-dimensional, and your character would move along in that. So you could only see the angle that the picture was. And so if you're like go through a door, and they also had this great loading thing because it was back in the days of like long load times, is when you walked into another room, they'd have this load time where it would show the door and you'd move close, just a door, a black background and just a door. And you'd move full close to it and you'd turn the knob and open the door, and then the next scene would load. But it was really like the ambiance and the atmosphere of the game, very creepy. And then, like I said, then you go through this door and the angle is like you with your back to, your back to the door that you just came through, and it's a hallway, but then you can hear something shambling, but the angle is like you can't see the other side of the hallway. So you hear something and you wouldn't be able to see the other end until you walked far enough into that hallway that the camera angle would change. So the backgrounds weren't 3-dimensional where you could just move around and see everything. It was very fixed. That's what they call it, fixed camera. So you'd walk through these areas and you'd hear shit. And then sometimes you'd go through and you're like, what's that noise? And you're like, oh, it's just a sprinkler at the other end of this little, garden outside. But the sound was like, but it could be something slithering on the ground. You'd hear like the zombie shamble. It was a great time in gaming for survival horror. Very creepy. They definitely made use of the lack of engineering at the time to make things as scary as they could. You were stuck with the level of processing power and stuff they had, but they made it work for creepy games. Really, really great games. And this is the kind of thing you can YouTube and, Resident Evil retrospectives, whatever, and you can look and see what they had. And man, did it ever do it. And Silent Hill was another scary one, which just kept getting freakier. They did movies of both Resident Evil and Silent Hill, both of which I found not to be anywhere near as freaky or good storylines as the game. And then, of course, when Resident Evil 4 came out, which was years later, it was in the 2000s, in the 90s was all like, Capcom survival horror PlayStation 1 games. And then the GameCube came out, and for the GameCube, they put out Resident Evil 4, and they gave it an overhaul. It was definitely freaky. But they changed it to that kind of like third person over the shoulder. And now you could aim with your gun and shoot in the head and things like that. Still creepy. Resident Evil 5 and 6 have followed that structure of gameplay. And, they've even started to re-release Resident Evil 2 and 3 with this new running around over the shoulder gun kind of thing. And they're getting great reviews. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm jazzed with this. I was telling my buddy Peter about Resident Evil 4. I'm like, dude, he's never played it. I was like, dude, if you've never played it, you got to play that game. It was really that good. Anyone listening, I know some of you are gamers. I would love to know some of the survival horror games that you guys played. Like I said, Until Dawn is one of the newer ones. That one I want to play. The Man of Medan I want to play. But I'd love to hear from you guys just sort of what survival horror games or what kind of scary games you played when you were young. because there was a lot of creepy ones that were out there and some scary shit. I've downloaded all sorts of scary shit since that I'm looking forward to play. Some of it in VR. It's going to be way too much. But there's a few just creepy fucking games. And again, if you guys are interested in seeing them, I will stream them on Twitch or on YouTube. I'm more likely to, and I jump like a little bitch. I'm so high strung that when something pops out at me or whatever, I jump and everybody in the house laughs if they're around. And, other people I used to watch scary movies would laugh their asses off. So if it's entertaining and me getting freaked out, has any kind of, merit online, I'd love to stream this kind of thing. It'd make me more likely to do it. And if I'm entertaining people, I'm at it even better. Okay. Went to Montreal to buy some Scotch whiskey. My buddy Aaron, and I, are both Scotch guys. And I just recently found out he was into Scotch. I saw him post something and then the other day he posted, he was looking for a Scotch, I believe not a Scotch. I apologize. An Irish whiskey called Connemara. And Connemara is the only Irish whiskey that's peated. So again, I've told you guys about peat moss, right? In the, in parts of the world where they use it to smoke dry the barley, and, predominantly a Scottish thing to have peated whiskey, but, the Connemara is the only Irish peated whiskey. And so Aaron posted in my whiskey group that I have, like, hey, anyone know where I can find this? Looking forward to it. Got great reviews. Just don't know where to get it. And I had mentioned like, hey, by the way, I think if you check the SAQ in Ontario, where I live, we have the LCBO, which is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. And then in the, French side, they have the SAQ, which is stupid asshole Quebecers. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what this, it's French, whatever it is, something Alcohol de Québec, Société Alcohol de Québec or something like that. Fuck's sakes. After making an insult, I gotta get it right. Hey Siri, what does SAQ stand for?
Okay. I found this on the web. For what does SAQ stand for?
No, that's SAQ and it's doing it like FAQ. Okay. All right. Let's go in here. Let's take the time and get an answer that nobody fucking wants. All right. Quebec SAQ. What does SAQ stand for? I think it's like Société. Yeah, okay. Société de Alcool du Québec. So I was right. Okay, and I just guessed. So that's the same idea. So the SAQ is also the big provincial buyer for Quebec. So LCBO for Ontario, SAQ in Quebec. And I just suggested, hey man, like take a look at the SAQ because sometimes like there's some SAQ stores that are closer than other LCBOs in Ottawa. So I was like, why don't you just go take a look over there? And it turns out the SAQ carries the Connemara, but none of the local stores have it. So, Aaron looked and he was like, yeah, the closest one is like, in Montreal on the West Island. And, so it was like, yeah, he's like, they have one there. And I was like, you know what? I've actually been looking for an Ardbeg Ugadale, for some time. And it seems like I think I mentioned to you guys, I had one put aside for me over just in Gatineau side, which is like a 15-20 minute drive. And when I got there, it was the wrong Ardbeg that they had in stock. Now, luckily that Ardbeg is also one that's difficult to get and one that I did want to get before. So I ended up picking that up instead, but it was kind of like not what I was looking for. So, I talked to Aaron. I was like, listen, let me see if I can find a store, in Montreal in that area. Cause I for a long time, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll make the drive out there and pick up a bottle, but I'm like, it's kind of frivolous. Well, he needed something. I needed something. I found a store in Montreal that had both what he was looking for and what I was looking for. I gave them a call, had them put it aside. And Thursday after he was done work, my buddy and Aaron and I went out to drove down to Montreal and we got ourselves some whiskey. In fact, they only had 2 bottles of the Ardbeg Ugadale left. And I said to him, like, hey man, this is the best Ardbeg. Like I was at the distillery, of course, in February, and I got to try just about their entire lineup. And of all of them, the Ugadale was easily the best. I thought the NO was going to be my favorite, but the Ugadale was the best one. Oh boy, was it ever. And, looking for a bottle ever since. Well, got my hands on one and I told him, so he was like, fuck it. Okay, I'll get it. So it was cool. We also hadn't eaten. So I was kind of like, hey man, should we get some food before we hit the road? And he's like, nah, I had a late lunch. I'm good. So when we were there, I think we were close to that store and I asked him, Like, hey man, we're in Montreal. Have you ever had, Montreal smoked meat? He's like, no, I've never had like any Montreal smoked meat. I've never had Schwartz's. I was like, fuck. Okay. So we'll go to Schwartz's. I thought it was gonna be closer than it was. It ended up actually being like a 35-minute drive into town, and then 30. So I added like over an hour to our trip, because it was about an hour and 50 to the SAQ. And then it would have been about 2 hours back. And I added another hour by going into town, not to mention all the time standing in line and getting the food. But I will say this, driving into the belly of the beast. Now keep in mind, we're in the car and I'm like, we're going to park. We're going to go to the takeout window. I called them to make sure they were doing takeout. And I'm like, we're going to the takeout window. We're going to get back in the car. We're going to eat our food and we're going to fuck off. Driving down Saint Laurent Street in Montreal, there was people everywhere. Like, we're on the highway until we get off at the area that we're supposed to be in. People everywhere. Holy fuck. Gorgeous women everywhere walking around. But I would say less than 50% of people had masks on. Here in Ottawa, I would say it's maybe 50-50 split, if not more people are walking around. Now, I'm not going everywhere, but the streets are still kind of quiet. Like, when you look outside, it's like people running and jogging outside. This was people walking down a busy commercial street, not running, not jogging, just walking around outside. No masks, close to each other. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder COVID is spreading so high here. Like, this, nobody gives a fuck. But yeah, it was really surprising. And the funny thing was, like, there wasn't as many social distancing signs. Like in Ottawa, you go near businesses and always at front, social distance, this and that. Didn't have any, I didn't see any signs up during the drive down, except for Schwartz's had one in their window that just said no more than 2 customers in at a time, but nothing inside, no social distance signs, no lines on the floor of where to stand, anything like that. The food was still amazing. I still had a blast with it. Oh God, I fucking love Montreal smoked meat. Love it. And it was nice to go for a drive and catch up with my buddy. I haven't seen him in a long time. So, it was funny because when we got back to town, he's like, did you want to give this Connemara a try? I was going to get some too, but I'm like, I dropped a mint on that, Yugadale. So I went in, I tried the Connemara. It was a nice light whiskey that did have that smoky peatiness. It was good. My buddy Aaron also let me try a couple of other scotches that have been on my list for a long time and I never had an opportunity to try them. I could try Monkey Shoulder, which is a blended malt, scotch. Very, very, very nice. Really enjoyed that one. Like, light for what it is. It's definitely an entry level scotch. People who aren't big scotch drinkers, it's definitely accessible, with kind of like the butterscotchy, vanilla kind of taste. Jesus, sorry, I don't know why there's air bubbles in my chest. And then he died. And I got to try a really good one, the Dalmore Portwood. I got to try that. That was very, very nice. So didn't stick around for too long, but I definitely got to after our drive there and back, I got to sit down with my buddy, shoot the shit a little bit, and taste some whiskeys. So I had a nice little whiskey adventure with my buddy, topped off with some smoked meat from Schwartz's, some good convo. Had a blast. Thank you, Aaron, for that. And I'll be honest with you, after like you guys know me, I drive in between cities all the time. For me to go on the drive, part of me was like, yeah, it's been a while. Maybe it's going to seem a lot longer and more tedious. It wasn't. It was a breeze to just get out of the city. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny as even though I was going to the most the hotbed, it was nice. It was a sunny day. The weather was good. We both were in shorts and t-shirts. Like, it was fucking awesome. I had a great time with my buddy, just shooting the shit. And, we were even chatting earlier today because I found something that I was looking for that's there, the Hibiki Harmony from Centauri, their whiskey. And he was telling me, you know what? He goes, dude, we're so on the same page with this. He's like, I was looking that one up the other day and found that it's only near our area. And I'm like, yeah. So are you up for another road trip? And he's like, well, I go next month, back when our whiskey budget's reset a little bit. And he goes, well, not have it. So, anyways, it's kind of funny. But that was this week, guys. That was more adventure from this week. No review this week for books. I'll have another fresh one. I started reading one, but I'm not enough into it that I feel comfortable being able to give it a fair review. Would love to hear from you guys. All right. I want to know what you're into, guys. Tell me what you're into, what you're excited about, because even with my partners at DK, sometimes I find books. Oh, fuck me. I totally forgot that. I actually was able to, drop off some books to friends this week, courtesy of DK. So, my friend Lydia, we do a lot of marketing stuff. I got to see her. I have the fashion book. I gave it my personal review, but Lydia is, a member of like a local fashion thing. And I knew that book would really mean more to her than it did to me. And plus she's doing the right thing, stuck inside, social isolating, all that stuff. Self-isolating, social distancing, right? Social isolating. But yeah, so she's going to read that. And I asked her if she'd be kind enough to send me a review. I'd love to know her thoughts on it. So I was able to drop that off to her, made her day. Got to see my buddy, Chris, who I dropped off the vegetarian cookbook for, that him and his kids are going to have a chance to play around with some of the recipes in that. And then they're going to send us a review, as well as sketchbook for the artist. I took a look at it. I gave you guys my thoughts on it. It was definitely above my pay grade. But Chris's lovely wife, Rebecca, is a phenomenal artist. She's putting up all of her stuff on Instagram. Absolutely loving seeing her work up there. And I asked her to have a peek at it and tell me if she sees anything there. And so hopefully she'll throw a review our way. I'm really enjoying kind of sourcing some of these reviews too. Not that it's, less work for me, but I would rather find somebody that loves the subject and have them write in a review. Do you know what I mean? Because then there's somebody passionate about the thing, as opposed to me kind of not really knowing much about it. Like I'll do the whiskey books and the travel books and things that I'm wicked interested in. But there's just some people who I know, and honestly, the time, it's hard for me. I don't get through all the books. I'll get through like half of them and try to give you my thoughts on them. But I think a proper review, like Mika's review last week of the woodcraft book, or not woodcraft, but woodworking step by step. For him, it's something he's passionate about, and he's a very skilled woodworker. I'd rather it be somebody who I know is going to absolutely love and cherish that book, who'll get excited about it and be able to give us a review that's going to jazz people up. So, I dig it. And I was happy to be able to go out for a day, drop off some books to some people, make them smile. So that'll be the little DK plug for this week, is the fact that some very excited artists, fashionistas, and cooking with his kids people got some books. So that was another wicked thing that I did this week. I've had a productive week now that things are able to go kind of back to normal. We'll see. Absolute Comedy, apparently Jason's going to open the patio up a little bit sooner, so I'm going to try to go one evening. There's no staff prices or discounts, so I'm kind of not in a hurry to go out and spend the little bit of money that I got. For anyone who doesn't know, I had a bunch of people text me today, and I'll share this piece of information. If you're like me and you're kind of out of work because of social distancing and everything like that, in Canada, the CERB, Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, has been extended for another 2 months. So, if you were worried about, where the next couple months might be coming from, well, it's, you're still good. It's funny too, because I've told you guys what it's like booking shit and not knowing where the next money's going to come from or the next gig or anything like that. It's, in terms of me being on the CERB and going, well, I know where next month's money's coming from. I've actually been kind of like, I've had a little less stress in that regard. Now it's in the back of my head too, that I'm like, okay, well, they could still keep, like, my industry, even though everyone could be back to work and stuff, it's going to be a while before people are comfortable taking samples from strangers and food stuff and things like that, right? People are still wearing masks, and we're going to have to see how it goes. So just because, the industry is allowed to go back doesn't necessarily mean that society and stuff will be receptive to it. So, we'll see where that goes. So I think that's it. Sorry, guys, I'm putting notes down on the thing. I think that's it for this week. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm glad you're there. As always, I want to hear from you. Contact the One Man Podcast. Let me know what you're watching, what you're playing, what you're reading, what you're doing, how you're staying fit, how you're not staying fit, what's your favorite fucking ice cream. I don't care. Just send me an email. I'd love to know that you guys are out there. Of course, the more you message me, the more I feel like people are out there listening and wanting to be a part of this, and that gets me off my ass and recording these sooner. So you guys have a great week. I can't wait to talk to you again next week.